Evening all, here I am in my folk singing sweater again today, sailing off from Liverpool, never to be seen again. And please excuse the noise of various household devices operating. But this is a response video to a recent discussion on Fake Accents Unite. I'll leave a description in the link below to that episode. And it was very good, very convivial show, enjoyable. Hosted by Not So Obvious. He had special guests, the Britisher, Zarathustra, and Tailed Feature. And they were discussing what are the aspects of British culture, what defines British culture. And they covered quite a bit of ground, but because it was a lovely informal chat, they do waffle on a bit. So here's me, just me, with my various machinery going on in the background, to give you my list, my top 10, because I like doing top 10s. Top 10 things that define British culture. Cue jump cut. Number 1 on my list is duty. Now, this is very core to the British cultural ethos. This sense that you don't just do things out of your own self-interest or that is most convenient to you. You have to put yourself out on behalf of others because of a sense of duty. We have jury duty. People talk about not just a right to vote, but a duty to vote. When our country needs us, we feel out of a sense of duty that we should sign up. We were very late to the idea of conscription. We went through a very long period of our history where you didn't serve in the military because your country just called you up and said you have to do it. We did it for a number of reasons. Some people were escaping the law. Some people were very poor. Some people needed to make a name for themselves in the world. But what united them in the armed service was this sense of duty, that you are doing this for a thing that is greater than yourself. Famously, one of Britain's greatest ever real heroes, Admiral Nelson, famously said, England expects that every man should do his duty. Now, he used the term England, but this applies to the British as a whole. Every constituent part of Britain has this sense of duty, that you step out and you serve, and that we pay tribute and we respect those who serve. We've always had a strong navy, a small army, and an independent air force, and this sense of duty and pride and respect that we give those institutions out of the idea that they're not just doing it because they have to do it, they're doing it out of a sense of duty. We look up to that and respect that as a nation and as a culture. And when we praise the royal family, particularly Queen Elizabeth II, we always remark on her outstanding sense of duty to the nation and her subjects. So that's why duty is key to understanding British culture. Next on my list is politeness. Now, a lot's been made of British society being tolerant. We get told that the British are a tolerant people. And this is true to a certain extent. But sometimes the word tolerance is conflated with the word acceptance. And this isn't so British. The idea that we just accept everything around us as being good and of having some value. No, in British society, you have to earn respect. You have to earn your place. You have to show, demonstratively show that what you have, what you bring, is of some value. But what we have is politeness. This is what stops us from becoming the feral beast that some other cultures on the continent think we are. I'm looking at you, the French. But we have politeness. This holds us in check because we have had a violent past. We did use our might and our ferocity to our advantage, and it's how you cage it in. And we do it with politeness. A lot of our traditions have grown out of a sense of politeness. We shake hands to show that we don't have a weapon in our hand. In our parliamentary debating chamber, the distance between the government's dispatch box and the opposition, where the opposition stand, is precisely 2 lengths of a sword held outstretched. We have to refer to members of Parliament in Parliament as the right honourable. We have protocols that keep us polite. And this extends to the rest of the world. When we have people coming in from different cultures and different backgrounds, different faiths, we don't automatically turn on them and chase them away and shut up our doors. For the most part, even though historically we did have no blacks, no Irish signs outside some guest houses, but for the most part, we operate out of a sense of politeness. Doesn't mean acceptance, it means we were going to treat everybody with a modicum of respect and of tolerance until they demonstrably show that they are working against our interests, either as individuals or as a collective. So it is our politeness that serves us well, and it links to the duty as well, because when things get tough, we are expected to meet these challenges through stoicism. And stoicism is a mixture of a sense of duty and a sense of politeness. That some of our real-life heroes go valiantly to their death and do not complain. I'm thinking of Captain Oates in the Antarctic, who said, I'm just going to step outside, I may be some time, when he knew he was dying and that he wanted to give his companions a chance to live. Well, that there are some revisionist historians who dispute that version of events, but that is the one that gets into British culture, that he very politely and very in a very dignified way stepped out, sacrificed himself for the good of others. So our politeness, I think, underpins our tolerance. So we can shake our heads and go, no, I don't approve of that. But you are never rude. You are never meant to be aggressive. It was, I think, as part of British culture. You're not supposed to be a loudmouth bigot. Historically, the British have always reacted against bigotry, even though it does happen. But culturally, we don't like bigotry. We like politeness, which is why, as the British said, we organise ourselves into queues. First come, first serve. Very British. I'll switch the lights on. But anyway, number 3 on my list are the arts. Now, what we tend to do in Britain is that we're not great inventors of art. We didn't invent sculpture. We didn't invent realistic painting. The Renaissance was not our thing. We jumped on board an existing bandwagon. We didn't invent theatre. But we value the arts in Britain. And in terms of valuing arts, we're up there against some of the greatest artistic and cultural nations and cultures in the world. And in some ways, we have improved. We are superior. Because we love art. First of all, we love the best that the world has to offer. So we value the great art of the world. In fact, we value it so much when we think that the cultures and the nations that produce that art can't look after it properly. We take it upon ourselves to take their art form and display it in the way it should be displayed, with proper reverence and care. But what Britain does with the arts is that we take things, modify it, and send the art off in a new direction. Well, what I mean is, in terms of painting, we didn't develop landscape painting, but in artists like Turner, we took the landscape painting and turned it into something else, something that can stand alongside the great art of the world. Same with portraiture painting. We have the 2 finest examples of British portraiture painting, Gainsborough, and my own personal favourite British artist, Millais, who whose skills at portraiture painting propelled the form into a new direction. And we've taken what we like of, say, European art, modified it, made it our own. And in one particular area of the arts we have been supremely good at is in popular music. What happened? You had rock and roll, a very American art form, but in the hands of the Beatles, it becomes something else. It transcended its original roots and became something different, and something that has been a worldwide phenomenon, because what the Beatles did is that they loved the American rock and roll, but they wanted to do something, wanted to break out of the traditional 3-chord structure, do something different, have a different rhythmic pattern to it, explore the relationships between chords. And then once they got that under their belt, they were always looking for the next thing, the next challenge. And then they started taking in jazz and classical music and the blues and Indian music, and they were going from the 3-chord structure. They started writing music in Dorian mode or in pentatonic mode. So the Beatles were hugely important in terms of defining what makes British art. Take something that already exists, modify it beyond recognition, and put it back out there as a fresh new art form. And in one form of popular music, which is very British, which exemplifies this, it is progressive rock. Because progressive rock knows no boundaries. It is a very British idea to take existing rock music, add it to jazz, classical music, world music, country music, put in some English eccentricity and literary flights of fancy. Say there are no limits, and in terms of time and in terms of structure. And the only thing that you need for progressive rock is excellence in musicianship. And this is what Britain does. And so progressive rock is a very British cultural export, which other countries can't quite match. So that's number 3, the arts. Number 4 on my list is literature, both in terms of the theatre and in terms of the novel. Britain is the leading proponent of great literature in the world, and has been for centuries. We look at our great writers from Chaucer, Shakespeare, Milton, Dickens, and a whole slew of others. We've led the way, and we continue to do so. Why is this? Well, in the Fake Accents Unite video, it was mentioned that we have such a rich language. We have taken in different words and grammar from other languages, most notably French, Latin, the Germanic languages, a little bit of Norse, a bit of Celtic, all thrown into the mix. And we have such a wide variety of words that mean the same thing, but give a nuance when used a certain way. And this gives us a richness and a texture of language that is unequaled in any other. And what happens is that our novels and our plays become rich with this language, these turns of phrase, eminently quotable. But that's not all. Also, the protagonists and characters in British novels and theatre are incredibly well drawn, well detailed. Something about British culture allows the author to step back. It's that kind of sense of detachment that we have as a people that can look at our protagonists and the plots of novels with a sense of detachment, which allows a full range of expression. The novelist can step back and say, okay, this is your hero with all the flaws and all the traits and the gifts that they have and the positive aspects of that character. We're going to go on this journey. We're very focused, British plays and novels, very plot driven, but with this fantastically well drawn characters that we use. And then when these things are adapted in plays or in television or films, we have actors, some of the best in the world, if not the best, who can come in and realize these creations and give them a full range of nuanced expression. We're not just pantomime villains, Hollywood. We have the range to express and explore these plots, stories, emotions, and thoughts, ideas to an extent that is unrivaled. in the world. And we as the British, we love to read, we love to consume theatre and film and TV stories. We love it, we love the narrative, and that is a major aspect of British culture. Well, number 5 is exemplified by my little pet friend here, Sweep. Sweep and her twin sister Sooty, who have sometimes guested in my videos, often not when I've wanted them to be in the videos, but this shows the love the British have for animals. I'm not particularly a cat person. I've grown up with dogs, I prefer dogs, but these two needed a home, and my family provided one for them, okay, and she really wants to go outside, so... but this is the thing about the British. We love animals, especially dogs, cats and horses. This marks us out from many other cultures. On holiday in various European countries, I have befriended dogs and cats, and the locals are going, "What are you doing? What are you doing? It's a stray cat. It's feral. Well, yeah, it's disgusting. It shouldn't be here." And but we in Britain will take out time to pat and talk to a friendly animal, and we have these friendly relationships with animals for the most part. And even when we have to kill them, we have to do it in a way that is properly practical, efficient, and also in as least cruel way as possible. Yes, for the most part. We do have a fox hunting tradition, but fox hunting, it was born out of a practical need to keep the fox population down, because the foxes preyed on livestock, and the livestock was very important. It became ritualized, and I think that's what people, particularly on the left and animal rights activists, objected to, was the fact that it was becoming ritualized. And we had kind of turned one branch of nature against another. But the whole idea of animal rights activists is also very British. And we have the two sides of the coin of this love of the animal kingdom. On the one hand, we have the animal rights activists and the conservationists. And on the other hand, we have people who like having pets, they like looking after animals, and they see animals in a very practical way. Both are united in a sense that they don't want animals mistreated. I think that's what unites Britain as a whole. So at number 5, animals. Number 6 is, well, you're just going to have to wait for number 6, because already this video is coming up to 18 minutes long, and I'm only at the halfway point. So tune in for part 2 of Top 10 Things That Define British Culture, and not Jeremy Clarkson.